What's going on, everyone, and welcome back. I hope everybody's having a great day. Folks, you're going to want to take out your magnifiers or your eyepieces, whatever it is you use to zoom into photos. You're definitely going to need it. Wait until you see the things in this photo. It is unreal. Our moon is an alien junkyard. You can see things that look like structures, hundreds and thousands of them, but you can also see what look like giant structures or crashed spacecraft. And we'll get into that in a moment. No doubt, if you've been following space news, you know that SpaceX is going to have a rocket that's actually it's on a collision course, basically, with the moon. Now, I find this a little weird because, and I'm going to show you the article in a moment, what they talk about is in 2015, the rocket went up to space, it did its mission, but it didn't have enough fuel to get back to Earth. Okay? So you got that part. Now, follow me. This is where it gets really bizarre. According to the article, it said basically it's meandering because it's getting gravitational pulls from the sun, moon, and Earth. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but if it's already out in orbit of the Earth, wouldn't that have the most pull to pull this rocket back into, basically down to Earth? Yet it's on a collision course with the moon. Does anybody see anything weird? Doesn't think that's just really strange? Let me show you the article. Okay, so here it is. You can see Elon Musk SpaceX rocket on collision course with the moon. Now, it goes on to tell you the Falcon 9 booster was launched in 2015, but after completing its mission, it did not have enough fuel to return towards Earth and instead remained in space. Astronomer Jonathan McDowell told BBC News it will be the first known uncontrolled rocket collision with the moon. Remember, we had others, right? But the effects will be minor, he says. The rocket was abandoned in high orbit 7 years ago after it completed a mission to send space weather satellite on a million-mile journey. It was part of Mr. Musk's space exploration program, SpaceX, a commercial company that ultimately aims to get humans living on other planets, right? So the way it says right here, it's been dead just following the laws of gravity. But what it says prior to that, it says since 2015, the rocket has been pulled by different gravitational forces of the Earth, moon, and sun, making its path somewhat chaotic, explains Professor McDonald. So basically they're saying it's not just going to slam into the moon about 5,000 miles an hour. Now, if you read another article, it says it's going to basically put a crater into the moon. It's going to be the equivalent of like 20 sticks of dynamite, okay? So it's going to be a decent size collision, 5,000 miles per hour, okay? What I don't get again, my question is, does the Earth not have more gravitational pull, and how did it meander over to the moon if the Earth has more gravity? Somebody please explain that to me. I find that a little odd, right? He adds that while there are no coincidences now to space debris left to drift and occasionally crash, there could be in the future. If we get into future where there are cities and bases on the moon, we want to know what's up there. It's much easier to get that organized when there is slow traffic in space rather than waiting until it's a problem. And what happens between now and March 4th, basically? Well, the rocket will continue to follow the laws of gravity, careering through space before it ends its day smashing into the moon. More on the story, and I'm going to let you guys see this. Now, let's get into the actual photo, but I want to say thanks to Dave Havery for sending me this email, because he sent me this short video that was on TikTok. Now, when you see this, right here, hidden reality possible secret space program operations on the moon. Now, I'm going to play this for you guys. It's about 1 minute and 11 seconds. We're not going to play the whole thing, but you will hear it.
Really stood out. This is AS-17-150-23085. A high-resolution color photograph taken by the Apollo 17 Hasselblad cameras in 1972. Looking at this photo at first glance doesn't reveal much. This is because it was published upside down and the exposure has been tampered with in order to make details hard to see. By turning the photo right side up, we can now start working on it. First of all, we reset the contrast levels in order to get rid of that brightness. It was taken in color, so we make adjustments to bring back most of the color that had been washed out. Zooming into the landscape, we see what appears to be a giant structure or a machine leaning against the rim of the crater. There is a tentacle-like tubing or wiring connected to it, and there's also an opening where part of it is cut away. Surveying the crater along the edge, there is another object that is round and appears to also have tubing.
That was Jose Escamilla. Now, he gets full credit for this object you see right here. Really, really awesome. And unfortunately, we lost this great researcher, great guy, movie producer, I believe it was in December of 2019. It's really sad to see people that are really good researchers just pass on like this. He's just a great guy. He also did a video here, and you guys will get his page, so you can check this out as well. And he's got 20-mile-long spaceship filmed on the moon. And what he's talking about is this item right here. Now, this is in Chang'e crater, okay? Funny enough, folks, once I show you this photo and you see everything there is to see, it makes you wonder if the SpaceX was just a accident, so to speak. Because this is on the other side of the moon, and guess what? Oh, where's this rocket going to crash into? The far side of the moon, exactly. Again, you see it right on the right-hand edge. That's Chang'e crater right here, which is 57 miles wide. So keep that in mind when we go into this photo, because when I show you this, you can get some kind of size ideas, if you will, from this one crater. So let's just jump right into that. And again, you'll get Jose Escamilla's YouTube page, and you can check out some of his videos because really, really good stuff. So let's get into this here. As always, folks, you will get this photo, and you can go right down to the bottom right here, and you can hit print resolution. It's 5.1 megs, but what you want to do is just go ahead and right-click on it after. Now, you can see the orientation that it's in. It is upside down, like he said. You can see right here, it's got the 70mm Hasselblad is taking this photo. And again, folks, look at it. What is going on here? What I do is rotate it counterclockwise so we can actually see the horizon a lot better as well. Let's just jump right into it. All right, here it is right here, and you can see we've rotated this. So when I looked at this, and I'm just going to circle a couple things that stuck out for me, is just these quick 3 areas. Now the 2 is the one that Jose pointed out, but this item right here, it reminds me of some weird, like a carousel you would see in a amusement park or some kind of park. Look at this thing. Even though it's hazed out and everything else, just look at it. It's got a top, it's got a dock center, and then it's got the bottom. You can see it's a round base to it. This piece over here that Jose pointed out, and again, he gets full credit for this, right here. And he does talk about what look like these pieces coming off of this. And folks, we're going to bring up more detail to this. This over here, which he called a 20-mile in length spacecraft, we're going to bring that out as well, and so much more. Folks, just a little heads up. When you're seeing these little white things, these little specks that you're seeing right here, we can just zoom into a couple of these here. See these little white specks? Once this is enhanced, this is what I want you to do for me. You can look at the white piece, but look below it and around it. You're going to see many more little details. This is the reason why I said get your magnifiers and your eyepieces ready. Now, just so you guys know, this is not a black and white photo. This is, if you go to image, go to mode, what is it? It's not grayscale. It's actually RGB. This is a full colored photo, and yet, what do we get? Black and white or gray and white? What's the deal there? Let me show you what we did. Let's just bring this down and show you what we got. Notice how this stuff is still super bright. But let's go take a look at this object again, right here, and I'll put it right in the middle of the screen. What look like that weird carousel type thing. Look at the round base. Darker in the middle. Got a lighter top to it. But folks, there's so much more to this. Look at the stuff around in the white area. Trust me, closer to the camera, and see if we can't wash the details out of it, right? Okay, so let's have a look at. I believe this is a spacecraft, in my personal opinion. Jose said it could be either or, and he could very well be right. Check this thing out. Folks, like I said, we're going to get really into this because there's some really crazy stuff in here. Here's that object. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this down as far as I can, and then we're going to balance it. In other words, we're going to have the darker area is a little lighter, and of course the lighter area is a little darker. And what we're going to do is we're going to make this black and white so we don't have the colors distorting and messing with our eyes, right? So black and white it. I'm going to outline the things I believe are the biggest things and the most important things we can look at. But again, folks, look at around the areas. Pause this any way you like and have a closer look with your magnification piece, okay? All right. These are the things that stuck out for me, and you can see we try to bring it up a little bit more as well. Start with the bottom here. We have what looks like this weird triangular piece on this other pad, right? This piece here. And of course, you can see other things to the right of this circled area. You can see other little pads with little pieces on them. This big dark colored item sticking right up out of this thing. Looks like it's on a small hill. Zoom back into this a little bit closer, and you can see that. Go up the photo here. Check these things out. Folks, I'm not even sure what to make of this. Flat areas with all these little pieces in the white area. Something very large and dark. I don't know if they try to cover it up because you can still see in the middle of this larger item what looks like whiter pieces. So something is there on top of that. We have this right here. Notice how there's some kind of weird round piece sitting right here in the back of this black piece in the middle, right here in the back of it. Notice to the very left of that green circle we have something on the left-hand side. It's white. Got something sitting right in the middle of that. Okay. Here in the middle. Folks, wow. Let your eyes settle. And we're going to get closer into this. Check this out. Have a look. And then I'm going to make this a little bit clearer in a moment. But just the objects alone, sitting right here. Check that out. Okay. Jump up to this area. Folks, look at these little things here. On these platforms, this almost looks triangular on the top circle, and it's got a white base around it. We have a base here, at least a whiter base, and we have something sticking up on that. What could they possibly be? Just above that, I didn't even circle this, but if you look at this, it looks like a white overhang. And underneath, you can just see on the left-hand side of this piece, you can see, looks like a shadow area. Like this is an opening to something. Now, this looks like some kind of weird complex. You can see what looks like different levels. You can see these pieces, these white pieces in the front. It looks like a foundation, something that's been designed and not by accident. And also notice you can see in the middle of this right here, and I'll zoom into it a little bit more, you have pieces that look like they're standing up, like they're structural. This other brighter piece right over here to the right of it. Check that out, folks. Jump it over to the other side. This part is interesting. It looks like an overhang with pieces sticking right out. And you can see this overhang right there. Now, if you look, you can see what looks like objects, namely this one here. But look at all the pieces. They look like they're coming out from under this overhang, right? See that? Check that out. This area here, this one is interesting as well. You can see what looks like lines of objects. Folks, we know they're manipulating these. We know that for a fact. So they're mushing this stuff over to make it look like it really doesn't have any detail. You can't make out whether it's square, round, or rectangular, at least most of the stuff. But what's funny about it, when you look at this, you can see there's individual objects, but they've been mushed over. It almost looks like, picture a city being washed over with a giant wave with mud after. Or it's been decimated by a war. That's the best way to describe this. But we also know that they manipulate the heck out of these photos, right? This object up here looks like some kind of spacecraft. Right here on this crater wall, right? And of course we have this right here that Jose also talked about, which is 20 miles wide. And again, this Guyot crater is 57 miles wide. So how big are these objects? Let me just back up a little bit and have a look at this thing total width. Check this stuff out, folks. See that? Okay. Now what we're going to do is going to get into the fully enhanced. I'm just going to point out a couple things we've already looked at. But look at the other areas. Like we'll start here at the bottom. And you can see some cutouts of what looks like land areas and things of that sort. Like down here. Check this out, folks. Now you can pause this anywhere, have a look. Put a slight blur into that. Again, you can see where there's like, looks like different levels of ground. Check that out. Pause it right here, folks. Have a good look. Bounce over to here. Again, we're looking at anything that is not natural. And folks, I'll be truthful with you. A whole lot of this doesn't look natural. This area right here. We'll clear it up a little bit. Right there. Again, I've been saying this for the longest time. These things look like they have pads, like foundations, and these things are built right on top, right? Back out a little bit. Zoom in here. Again, we have that triangular piece on this white foundation or pad, whatever that is, or it's an actual spacecraft. The whole thing is a craft. Also take note of the objects inside this crater. Real dark, but they are there. Put that in the middle of the screen. Again, folks, pause it any way you want. Look at all of this stuff here on the left-hand side on the edge of this photo, right there. I'll clear it up a little bit right there. Check that out. All of these little pieces inside here, folks. I'm just going to move it up slowly. Pause it. Unbelievable, the amount of stuff that's in this photo. But they would never manipulate this, folks, would they? They would never try to hide anything from us, would they? Come on now. I think it's all in our heads. What do you guys think? Check this area out alone. This is what I was pointing out earlier. I'll put a little blur into it. Check that out. Just look at the layout, folks. There's like different layers of the ground. There's stuff hidden everywhere. Now, if I was to do this and go back to this, you can still see the items, folks. It's still there. But just put over this sanitized white haze over the whole photo. It gets rid of the shadows, darker pieces, so on and so forth. But here it is. Again, if you go back, you don't really see a whole lot of like different ground elevations and stuff like that. Why? This is the best way to do it. Wash it out. There you go. Here's this item now. What I still believe is a spaceship. Right there. It's right there, folks. Nothing's changed other than bringing out the actual details. Look at it carefully. I'm going to bounce back and forth. Nothing's added. Nothing's taken away. Just the detail has been added. Just the contrast and sharpen it up a little bit. See that? That's a little sharper right there. Check out all of these objects, folks. Pause it. I'm going to bounce it over to here. This here, to me, looks like some multi-layered city or a very large structure, whatever that may be. Bounce it over to here, just above this spacecraft or structure, whatever it may be, at the top here. And again, folks, here's that area where we outlined right here. You can see that overhang like I showed earlier with these pieces sticking out. Lighter ground, darker pieces. Look at the little individual pieces like this here. See that? Look at the small white circle in it. These are the small details we're trying to see, okay? Move it over. Again, folks, check out the littlest details that are in here. This whole area. Notice how we have on the very left of this inside circle, you can see what looks like two archways. See it right there? And then you have these multiple things in the middle of this circle, or oval. You can see these look like these pieces that are right on the side of each other just sitting there. Again, it reminds me of some kind of, either stuff was melted or something was overthrown like water or mud or something is all over these items. That's the best way to explain how this looks. This item right up here. Not sure what to make of that, but notice the actual shape of this item. Goes down like this here. Like it's jagged pieces, like stuff was actually destroyed. Looks like it goes up like this. Can't make out really a whole lot of it right there. It goes up and inside this, comes back down. Nice straight edge. Folks, really? I don't believe that's natural at all. And again, we have this area, like I said, right in here. This item here. Check this out. It looks like some kind of large structure or spacecraft sitting right there on the crater wall. We have this piece over here. Looks like it's got two straight lines, like it's symmetrical right there. And you can see this piece has a squared off piece on the very right-hand side of that whited piece. It looks like it has a square end to it. What are we looking at? Look at this piece right here. I'm going to put it smack dab in the middle of the screen. I'm going to put it smack dab right there. Check out the pieces right in the middle of the screen right now. That is insane. Look at the details in that. And we're going to go ahead and sharpen that up a little bit right there. You can see mushed over with manipulation or whatever it may be, all of these things inside this crater. And again, we have this right here, this piece right here where I pointed out, right there. We can show you in different ways that we try to bring this thing out. See that? But notice all of the other areas that have these curved parts of land or the levels of land. See that? Different pieces here and there. This is what they tried so darn hard to get out, folks. There it is. There's the original. This is what they tried to do. Yeah. Down here, try to bring it out as much as we can. Again, have a look with your magnifiers right here. All of this area right here. Pause it here. Come down to this area. Check this out. Look at all of these pieces here. This is insane, the amount of stuff that's in this photo. Blur it up a little bit, keep it sharp. Again, we have a lot of manipulation we got to try to get through as well. I'm going to back it on here a little bit. Is that Jose called a spaceship. And folks, I'll be honest with you, I don't think he's very far off. I think he's absolutely spot on. See it? Original? There you go. That is absolutely awesome. Look at the whole layout of this. If this thing is 57 miles wide, how big is this craft? The one on the other wall, on the far wall of this crater. All of this in the very center of the photo. How big is this area? So what we're seeing is very large pieces, but because it's been manipulated, we don't know if there's hundreds of pieces in this middle of this photo alone. Right there, smack dab in the middle. We don't even know. Right in that area alone. We don't know if there's hundreds of thousands because they all look bigger due to manipulation and trying to bring these things out. There could be much, much more. Much more. Again, these areas. Bring it down here a little bit. Right in this middle section, have a look. Right there, pause it. You can blur it a hair bit. You can pause it there. And again, sharpen up a little bit. Folks, just look at the back. This thing is awesome. 100% there's a civilization on our moon. No doubt in my mind. And folks, I'm going to be honest with you. It's not ours. There's no way we're going to put all of this stuff on this moon at one point. There's no way. Now, if we were doing this since the 70s, okay, they had 50 years plus to do it, sure. But not all that. This was a civilization that was living on here for probably thousands of years, right on this moon. And again, down here, check out these, what look like landscaping areas where you can see it's been landscaped, or it's like different levels of ground and so on and so forth. See that? And then take a close look at these objects that are sitting there. You're not going to see it all clear. Some things you will, many things you won't. There's another area I wanted to show you folks, and see if I can find this again. It looked like two of these giant posts sticking up but leaning over like they had fallen over. I believe it's up here. Yeah, they're right here. It's hard to see them, but they're actually there. I'm going to circle both of them. They both appear to be leaning to the left. You see that? Yeah, right there. You can still see them. They're right there. I'm going to go back and forth with this. Right? I'm going to go back and forth. See that? That's the original. That's the sharpened one. Make it slightly blurrier, so this way here it's not too grainy. And then we'll go back and forth. See that? That's in the color mode. Oh yeah, folks, check that out. That is just cool. So much to see in this photo, folks. And again, we're not even seeing 100% of this. We're really not. Show you guys the overall. Right there. Have a look, folks, right there. And there you go. Folks, I said it before and I'll say it again. The moon has had a civilization living on it. I don't believe any of that's ours unless we have built a base there to explore many of these. After looking over this photo alone, now we've done other photos that were from the far side of the moon and we've seen things just like this. What looked like cities, large craft laying on their side like they've been, you know, just dilapidated, just laying there. What is going on here? We have no idea who put this here. These could have been failed missions, folks, from even us. But something that large, 20-mile spacecraft, probably not. But maybe smaller things that were on there that we tried and crashed on the moon. I see structures galore. I see what look like dilapidated spacecraft. I see things laying everywhere. What look like giant parts of cities and different parts. And they did their damnedest to try to manipulate it and censor it, folks. But yet here it is. To me, again, we are part of something much larger, and we're seeing a small bit of it right here on our own satellite, our moon. Or is it our moon, right? So it's a little coincidental that the SpaceX rocket is going to collide, because it's an accident, right? Because the moon happened to have more gravitational pull than the Earth does. Really? Let's see, it's around average about 230,000 miles away from Earth, and yet the Earth with the stronger gravity wasn't strong enough to keep it from meandering to the moon? Come on, something stinks here. Something doesn't make sense. As always, folks, drop your thoughts below. Let me know what you got to say. I'm always curious as to what your views are. Please like and share the video. It is always appreciated. And don't forget to give the video a thumbs up so that YouTube will share it. Folks, got some more Mars coming up and some other photos we're going to be doing as well, so stay tuned. Anyway, folks, thanks for watching. Always appreciated, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.